Hello and good evening to the viewers of this presentation. My name is Callie Cain and I'm a graduate student at the University of Southern Mississippi, tasked with managing this performance improvement project for Dufresne Spencer Group LLC, a licensee and franchise company of Ashley Furniture Industries Incorporated. This project focuses on a lack of competency awareness among sales recruiters at Dufresne Spencer Group and the measures taken to reduce knowledge gaps within the recruiting department in order to reduce fallacies concerning interview scheduling and no-show rates. Dufresne Spencer Group, often referred to as DSG, is a company licensed under Ashley Furniture Industries, owning and operating over 166 retail store locations. At DSG, the recruiting department responsible for recruiting and hiring incumbents within the company is comprised of 7 individuals tasked with filling sales roles. Currently, these sales recruiters are reporting increasing rates of no-shows for their scheduled sales associate interviews. The HR and recruiting department have teamed up with myself, the project manager, to determine the cause for these no-show rates, as well as to develop an intervention to decrease these rates. Upon further analysis of the issue, an underlying cause of this rate increase is due to the lack of knowledge that recruiters possess regarding relevant competencies for ideal sales associates at DSG. Also, recruiters lack a formal method of communication for reminding candidates of scheduled interviews and communicating with them throughout the recruitment process, creating a disconnect between recruiters and potential sales new hires. The goal of this project is to enhance recruiter knowledge regarding relevant RSA competencies according to DSG's RSA competency model in order to reduce sales interview no-shows and enhance the candidate recruitment experience. A training guide will be used to educate recruiters on existing RSA competencies along with a pre- and post-assessment to gauge true knowledge growth. Along with providing recruiters with a training curriculum to support knowledge growth, recruiters will also be given access to a communicative platform that allows them to communicate with candidates via SMS messaging through the web browser on their computer. This is to help recruiters reach out to their candidates and increase candidate engagement throughout the recruitment process. Lastly, this project aims to financially impact the company by showing a significant return on investment. By impacting the recruitment process at DSG and scheduling highly competent sales associates for job interviews, the project team expects to see a reduction in turnover, increased performance ratings, and a complete elimination of external recruiting efforts. So this project consisted of several deliverables, each with varying components and subsequent outcomes, ranging from a project definition document to a business needs analysis, work breakdown structure, and a project evaluation plan. The 3 deliverables that are listed here are the most significant project deliverables that were presented to the client organization. The first listed deliverable comprises the competency model in which the recruiter training guide is based on. A competency model was constructed for DSG sales associates, for managers and employees themselves to evaluate performance and competency awareness, but until now, sales recruiters have lacked a formal training regarding the contents of this model. So using DSG's RSA competency model, a recruiter training guide was constructed to engage recruiters in formal training for RSA competencies to reduce any and all knowledge gaps. The training guide was presented in a PowerPoint format for recruiters to complete at their own leisure. And included in the training guide is the complete competency model, competency definitions, behavioral components, and instructions for using the newly integrated communication platform. So this platform, by the name Podium, is used to send SMS messages to candidates via web browser, which negates the need for recruiters to own a separate cellular device for contacting candidates. This platform will be used to boost candidate recruiter engagement and keep more people in the pipeline during the sometimes drudging recruitment process. The second deliverable listed is the pre- and post assessments given to recruiters to gauge their knowledge regarding RSA competencies. So prior to distributing the competency training guide, recruiters were given a 20-question assessment focusing on competencies and the model for RSAs at Dufresne Spencer Group. The pre-assessment was used to help the project team determine a baseline for recruiter competency knowledge and gauge where recruiters stood regarding their awareness of the model. So after training completion, recruiters were given another 20-question assessment to determine any knowledge growth. These were vital pieces of information to the project team and helped validate the effectiveness of the training guide. And the final deliverable listed is the project evaluation report and ROI analysis. Included in this deliverable is the work breakdown structure, data collection plan, business alignment matrix, and calculation and analysis of ROI. So these project deliverables provide pertinent project information to the project team, and they also highlight the financial outcomes of the project. I will provide a more in-depth look at these elements further along in the presentation. Developed for retail sales associates employed with DSG, the RSA competency model is comprised of 4 foundational competencies and 3 role-specific competencies expected of RSAs at DSG. So professionally defined, a competency is a valuable predictor of work performance that encompasses an individual's knowledge, skills, behaviors, attitudes, values, and abilities regarding their work. So this competency model specifically focuses on those acting as a sales associate at DSG and can be used as a way for recruiters to source qualified candidates according to company standards and expectations. So using this model, a recruiter training guide was constructed to educate recruiters on competency standards in an effort to reduce overscheduling of underqualified candidates and also reduce the number of no-shows for scheduled interviews. Here you can see the full competency model on the left with the individual competency clusters listed on the right. This model fully encompasses competency expectations for current and future sales associates at DSG, making it a vital component to this training project and the tools used to train recruiters. This model, along with specific behavioral indicators for 4 varying levels of proficiency, are the main focus of the newly constructed training guide for sales recruiters. The training guide constructed for this project consisted of 3 main components: what a competency is, the competency models for RSAs at DSG, and how to use the new podium platform for messaging candidates. Shown here inside the red box, you can briefly view the 18-slide PowerPoint used for the sales recruiter training guide. This guide was distributed to recruiters to review and study at their own leisure. And discussed later in the presentation is the pre and post assessments given both before and after training completion to help project leaders determine knowledge gaps and acquisition due to this training. For this specific project deliverable, there were several successes that were observed by the project team. First and foremost, the training guide led to the growth of recruiter competency knowledge for RSAs at DSG. This success aids in achieving the project goal of training recruiters on RSA competencies and ensuring their awareness of what makes a qualified and competent salesperson. Other successes include the opportunity for continuous education and new doors opened for departments company-wide. With the success of this project and attention being brought to the lack of training opportunities for internal employees, other departments can look to the recruiting department and use their success to jumpstart and implement their own training programs. Along with these successes came a few challenges. As with most change projects and organizations, resistance is a common issue faced by project leaders. For this particular project, recruiters were hesitant to accept the training implementation as they believed it would not benefit their recruiting efforts. It wasn't until training was complete that the realization of the training need was recognized by the sales recruiters. Also, self-training is difficult to track as recruiters were asked to complete this on their own time, leaving the project team with no way to fully verify the training receival and training participation. The next deliverables for this project are the pre and post assessments given to recruiters to gauge knowledge gaps and knowledge acquisition due to the training that was given. So prior to training, recruiters were given a 20-question assessment with quiz items focusing on DSG's RSA competency model, as well as defining a competency. The pre-assessment was distributed to recruiters via email and was given in a Google Forms format. The results of the pre-assessment were recorded and gave the project team baseline data to compare with a post-assessment given after training completion. So just as the first assessment was given prior to training, the post-assessment was given after training completion and showed significant increases in competency knowledge regarding RSAs for DSG sales recruiters. Here you can see the results of the pre and post assessments and the significant score increase from the first test to the second. So the average score for the second test of the 7 recruiters that participated jumped from 81.43% to 95.71%, which equals a 14.28% increase. On average, recruiters were able to answer 3 more questions correctly on their second assessment compared to the first, which gave project leaders the notion that learning had in fact occurred during the training. This also helps to confirm that knowledge gaps were in fact present prior to training and recruiters were struggling to identify sales competencies. The success of this deliverable lies within the data obtained from the recruiters' scores. So the score increase of nearly 15% allowed project leaders to confirm the knowledge gap and that it existed, and to also pinpoint where those gaps shown the most significance. However, with recruiters being asked to engage in training and assess themselves without supervision, these scores have the possibility to inaccurately reflect true knowledge acquisition. If recruiters provided dishonest quiz answers, or if they use their training guide to help answer questions on the post-assessment, then the scores could be inflated due to this. Project leaders haven't trusted recruiters to provide truthful test responses, which is likely the case, but always poses a threat under these circumstances. The final deliverable listed is the project evaluation report and ROI analysis. Included in this deliverable is the work breakdown structure, data collection plan, business alignment matrix, and calculation and analysis of ROI. This group of deliverables collectively give the project team an inside look into the project's elements and the financial return of the project. And the following slides will cover each of these elements and what they consist of. Using the chain of impact business alignment V diagram matrix by Phillips and Phillips, the project team and HR department aligned the effects of the program with its intended objectives and outcomes for 5 corresponding levels of evaluation. So table 2 shown above shows the relationship between each level of evaluation, highlighting the needs, objectives, and evaluation methods for each level. So level 5 of the business alignment matrix focuses on the project ROI, with the target being set at 10%. Level 5 evaluation occurs using level 4 data, which focuses on the business need targeted throughout the project. Currently, the need of the business is to reduce no-shows for sales interviews, which will be measured by analyzing the no-show rate for a 1-year time period. These rates will be compared to pre-training periods alongside the external recruiting efforts being made at that time. The next level of evaluation is level 3, which refers to the application of training on the job. This data will largely be obtained by observing recruiters and soliciting recruiter feedback. Next up is level 2, which focuses on the learning and knowledge needs addressed throughout the project. The learning needs involve the lack of competency knowledge that sales recruiters possess regarding qualified sales candidates based on the RSA competency model by DSG. To assess learning, the pre and post assessments given to recruiters are used to determine knowledge acquisition and the amount of learning that took place. Lastly, level 1 gauges initial reactions to the project and the preference needs of those involved. These 5 levels of evaluation align to address specific business needs at differing levels, helping the project team ensure consistency, validity, and a clear direction during project implementation and evaluation. The next element of this deliverable is the data collection plan. Following the same levels that were presented in the business alignment matrix, the data collection plan lists program objectives, data measures, data sources, collection timing, and the party responsible for collecting each level of data. So level 1 data measures reactions to the program by surveying recruiters and project stakeholders on their outlook of the project, both at the completion of the project and then every 6 months afterwards. Level 2 learning data measures the knowledge and understanding recruiters exhibit due to their training efforts. So using the pre-assessment to establish a baseline, learning data is taken from recruiter post-assessments results to be taken after training completion to compare levels of knowledge. Next is level 3 data, which represents the application of learning outcomes. And to assess application objectives, interview metrics are to be analyzed every 90 days to determine the interview no-show rate. Also, recruiters will give feedback on their usage of the messaging platform, Podium, and how it has affected their communication efforts with candidates. Level 4 business impact data highlights the cost savings that the business aims to achieve through the project. This project specifically aims to reduce the sales interview no-show rate. And by doing so, the costs associated with external recruiting, excessive new hire onboarding, and job ad sponsorship will be reduced or eliminated as a whole. And finally, level 5 measures the return on investment, or ROI, for the project to the business. So the target ROI for this project is 10%, and it's calculated using level 4 data. And to gauge the full cost of the project team and DSG's HR department will analyze salaries for the project team, along with new subscription costs and recruiter pay during training. ROI will be calculated after the initial 6 months of project implementation, and then for a second time 6 months after that to ensure that the effects of the project are fully demonstrated. Using the data items from level 4 of evaluation, the ROI analysis plan is listed here. The cost benefits of this project include a reduction in costs associated with scheduling interviews that result in no-shows, external recruitment and job ad sponsorship, and associated costs related to turnover, onboarding, and training efforts. Statistical data and standard values were used to convert training costs and external recruiting efforts to monetary values during ROI calculation. And also to isolate the effects of the program, the HR department will use company records and cost statements to establish the ROI. Intangible benefits to be considered when analyzing ROI include increased job satisfaction for recruiters and hiring managers, cohesion amongst the recruiting team, and less time spent prepping for interviews that result in no-shows. While the intangible benefits for this project are not included in the final ROI, they do still contribute to the overall success of the project and validate the project need. And the last element of this deliverable is the work breakdown structure. The work breakdown structure identifies 5 project milestones as well as project deliverables, tasks, due date, and resources needed. This document allows the project team to keep the project on pace to meet deadlines, and it ensures that tasks are identified in order to complete each milestone. Without a work breakdown structure, the success of the project will be put in jeopardy, and the project will likely fail to reach completion by the specified due date. These deliverables aided in the success of this project by keeping the project on pace and setting a clear path for project success. Each element focused on differing aspects of the project, ranging from project objectives, data collection methods, and success criteria to a full ROI analysis and cost breakdown. The challenges that coincide with these deliverables, however, reflect the time that it takes to truly see what return the project imposed on the company. Some components of the project will not be analyzed until 6 months to a year post-project completion, so it is extremely important to be diligent when awaiting the results of the project. Additionally, the project presented several intangible benefits that are not included in the official ROI that are beneficial to the company, but can sometimes be left out when considering project success. It's important for company leaders at DSG to remember the intangibles and identify all project success components, both financially and culturally. Throughout this project, several lessons were presented to the project team for leaders at DSG to consider in the future. The first lesson learned throughout the project is that there is a significant lack of training opportunities at DSG that are available to current employees. These training gaps make it difficult for workers to advance themselves within the company, and they may leave searching for these opportunities elsewhere. It's the hope of the project team and recruiting department that other departments within the company are inspired by this project to enact similar training schemes for themselves. Another lesson learned was that there is a gap in communication within the recruiting department that was highlighted by the sudden collaboration enacted by the project. This project gave recruiters access to a new communicative platform to engage with candidates, but communication gaps were apparent to exist within the team itself. In order to boost team morale and enact more of a team effort from recruiters, DSG should focus on encouraging more team collaboration to enhance performance and the overall culture within the department. And lastly, the project team learned that recruiters had a large concern regarding the pay at DSG for sales associates earning a commission-based salary. Many candidates, according to recruiters, fall out of the recruitment process before attending their interview when they learn of the pay structure at DSG. So in the future, the HR department at DSG should revisit their commission plan and pay rates for sales associates to reduce no-show numbers at a significantly higher rate. This will also help to attract top talent in the market and will likely lead to a reduction in turnover as well. In conclusion, this project's purpose was to train recruiters on RSA selling competencies, boost communicative measures within the recruiting department, and create a financial impact on the company's recruiting measures, all in an effort to reduce sales interview no-shows and eliminate interview scheduling mishaps. Each of the 3 deliverables highlighted in this presentation aided the project team in accomplishing this project goal. By creating a project evaluation plan, recruiter training guide, and recruiter knowledge assessments to deliver to the client organization, DSG now has the tools to boost performance for sales recruiters and empower them to create positive change. This project is sure to make a lasting impact on the organization, both for the recruiting department and departments beyond that. Change may be a difficult issue to overcome within an organization, but it is one component of HRD that will remain critical to the development of human capital.